You're listening to REIA Radio, the nationally trusted name in real estate investing. We dig deep to discover investors' why in real estate. If you want to skip all the BS and get in investors' heads, you're in the right spot. Be one of the thousands to check out REIARadio.com.
Speed over perfection, guys. Fast yes or no. If you're sitting in maybe land, you are just wasting precious mental space. You're just wantifying it. Oh, I want to do it. Oh, have you met that person? Oh, I think I'm gonna put an offer in on that property. Cool, do it or don't. That's what I tell my kids all the time. You're either gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. But make a freaking decision. Otherwise, you're gonna sit in this endless loop of not doing anything.
Welcome to REIA Radio, episode 248. Today, we have the REIA Mastery Series with Collin Schwartz.
I want you to tell them what your favorite color is. What is your favorite color? Share that information. All right. Everybody got it? Everybody know their colors? How do you guys feel after that? All right. Now here's question number 2. I want you to tell your new friend, colleague, what, in one sentence, your greatest fear is. You hear that? Go. One sentence. I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds. 30 seconds. We all have a lot of fears. I can hear it. I can hear it. All right, guys, let's take a seat. Let's take a seat. So did you see how the room went silent on that second question? It's because it provoked thought, and it was building connection. All too often, we are asking the same questions. I want to buy real estate. Why? Today, I'm going to walk you through building deeper connections, community, and how to get into the right room by being more thought-provoking and not just sticking to your generics. Thank you guys for all standing with me. All right, this is going to look very similar to the last person presenting. You guys can read it. You also heard Chris say it. Some people say it's impressive. It's been a lot of work to do, 330 million of assets, over 3,300 units. Funny how those team up together. 500 private loans, $100 million in private loans, and 2 decades of leadership and management. What if I told you that I got here based on my father and a trust fund? What would that do to everybody in the room? Would you guys be still as impressed? Well, I appreciate that, but I know the truth. This is the truth, ladies and gentlemen. I have moved over 20 times by the age of 20. My parents bought their first home when they were 50 years old for $99,000 using a 0-down loan. My first business, Crazy Collin's Cupcake Corner. I did have other self-entrepreneurship skills in high school, but I will save those for later and for after hours. My first real job was at a country club, and there's a reason why I don't golf, because I was encouraged to find a new job after, let's say, a place went up in flames. Not intentional, but they asked me to find a new place to work. I do have my MBA. However, it took me 6 different colleges to go to. I had a full ride scholarship that I used all up in that first semester. Pretty unique. This is something I've never told anybody, is that I did own a rental property when I was 18, and myself and my roommates got about a dozen letters from the city because they did not like cars spanning 7 city blocks until 5 a.m. So I did sell that and broke even. And ever since the age of 18, I've been working 60 hours a week. Why do I tell you guys this? I am here to build real connections. We all have certain gifts. We all have a unique story. How many people here, if you're not already, want to be millionaires? Raise your hand. How many people have made money in real estate? Keep your hands raised. Now, how many people have lost money in real estate? That, my friend, is where the magic happens. That is where progress comes from. All too often, we are chasing the goal without really diving and digging in. We're in an incredibly unique market right now. I think, Jerry, you talked about my post I made, which I can't exactly remember the wording of it, but this is a time when this is a time when digging in really matters. And those difficult stories that we have, we can rely on those things to give us the strength. So, unique story, just in the top right photo, just a little bit of color. That is me at, I believe, 9 years old. And that right there is the second largest Siberian tiger in captivity. That was a house cat and my dad's dear friend, Peter. And the way I grew up was within a hippie household, so this was normal. So I give everybody a little context. We all have our own unique stories and different backgrounds. I think what's really important is us getting to know each other, building connection, because this business is incredibly difficult to do on your own. And the more that we have individuals that we can rely on in business, the better we'll become. So I said this earlier, how many want to be millionaires? Successful in real estate, the next deal. Everybody knows that answer, so why do we ask the question? Why are we not digging in to the true root causes and the things that actually motivate individuals? It's very, very easy to say that we want to be a millionaire, but why? And what are we willing to sacrifice to get there? So Ted gave a brief overview of my story, and he told me not to tell my story, but I'm still going to tell a little bit of it anyways, because I do think it's pertinent. It was January 1st, 2017. I was in Canada. I was on vacation with my wife, and we were sitting down at lunch. It was our last day of vacation, and I don't know how the conversation came up. Probably I was in my usual frustrated mood, going back to work. And she looks at me and she says, "Collin, you keep talking about changing, but you never do." All right. So I sat on that and sat on it. And you know when you sit on something and it keeps going through your head, what does that mean? It means there's some truth to the situation. That means there was truth in the comments. Well, I just happened to go on Facebook, saw a friend, and he had posted his top 10 books that he recommends. One of them being the Purple Bible that's been mentioned before, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I immediately started reading it and wondered why I had never picked it up before. I finished that book on the flight home, and I get back to my work. The first thing my boss does, this was January 4th, which also happened to be my birthday, and he says, "Collin, you know, you just took this time off, and you used unpaid leave." Yeah? Isn't that fine? Did you want me to pay you to go on vacation? Well, you know, the department's made some changes, and unfortunately, we had to pull all your future time off, and you're not going to be allowed to take unpaid leave. So let me get this straight. Not only are you taking my vacation time from forward, but I am being penalized for just not going to work, still doing my job, and not getting paid for it. I also found out I was having my second child at the time, so just burning a little bit, you know. So I've got Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I've got the kick in the huevos, and now I have this. And the icing on the cake, I will never forget this. I'm sitting at my computer, and I hear, so I worked at an insurance company, and there's a gentleman, he's 30 years older than me, been working at the company for 40 years, and all of a sudden I see all the staff clapping, cheering. He had just reached 1,000 days until retirement, and everybody was congratulating him. 1,000 more days, Tony, and you'll be retired. 1,000 more days, and you can start living your life. Everybody is ecstatic. What a great accomplishment. Look at what you have done. You are this close to being senile, blind, and retired in 1,000 days. And that, my friends, was my wake-up call. And I've had this happen in the past before, and I've come to realize we all have superpowers. We all have a unique skill and ability. Mine is not replying to emails. Mine is not being calm or sitting down. Those are traits I do not possess. But what I do possess is an incredible ability to picture myself in my current state, doing the same thing, knowing the same things at a future state. and reassessing myself, saying, is that the individual that I want to be? Am I happy with my current progress, with who I am, that if I go through no growth for the next 10 years, is that something I'm satisfied with? That answer was absolutely not. So here's the brutal and honest truth. The first photo, that's a couple weeks into my W-2 job in my beautiful cubicle. Nobody cares about your dream or your struggle story. I can't remember if it was Chris, your family mentioning that you're crazy, leaving your law job, attorney job. I was told left and right, this is when I had begun doing real estate, but I was still working my full-time job. You're crazy, man. This is a gravy train. You're making 6 figures, dude. You've got a cush job. You know, you punch in, punch out. The effort that you have to give is almost minimal. Isn't that cool? Don't you want to keep that? You'll retire in 39 million years. Isn't that freaking awesome? You gotta hold on to what you believe in yourself. Show up anyways. That photo right there is a fun story. So this is me outside of a 7-plex over in Blackstone. Ted had mentioned the letter campaign. It was actually a deal I had gotten off my letter campaign, handwritten letters. I did the handwritten letter campaign because every single real estate agent I called said I was out of my mind. They had a list of buyers and kick rocks. So I said, I'm gonna write my own letters. I'm gonna go find my own problems, is what it turned into. Well, that is me listening to Slipknot, getting covered in chemicals for 4 hours, disinfecting a 7-plex. I will tell you, I don't know how many times I had to listen to Surfacing, Slipknot fans out there, and thinking, what the hell have I done? I've just given up a stable livelihood to spray for bugs, be up in my ears in debt, and work twice as much as I ever had. But I had to tell myself, are you happy with that previous state 10 years from now? And that answer was still no. So that means I needed to go through some discomfort. I just turned 40 this year, and at 40 you say you don't care what people think. I'd like to say that's true, but I still care. But I think you realize that nobody's paying attention as hard as you are to yourself, and that you're the only one in control of your goals. Your feelings will fade, but the results, those are etched in stone. So you may not feel like doing it today. You may feel that it's risky. You need to keep your eye on the prize and what your goal is. What my goal was to spend more time with these little critters. Sometimes I would like to give them away. This morning, I would have given them away. I love them. But I told myself during my early real estate days, I'm going to miss the 1-year-old stage. I may miss their first steps. But what I'm not missing is their soccer games, their football games, and I was willing to make those sacrifices early on so that I could be a part of their lives. These are the things that I hope you can apply after leaving here today. And guys, as we go along, please have any questions, feel free, this is an open book. Getting into the right rooms. What I quickly realized early on is that I only know so much. And my brief, limited knowledge was go get a job, do a good job, get a better job, retire, die. However, there's other people out there building cool things. How do I get to know them? One of the first questions I asked to some friends, family members, is who are the smartest people you know? And I want to connect with them. I'll go through my decision-making triage, how you guys can utilize it for both local properties and out-of-state properties, asking the right questions so that you can step into these rooms, and the importance of authenticity, responsiveness, and follow-through. All right, guys, we all are our own superhero. We all have our own skills. What I would like everybody to do, and I'm assuming everybody has ChatGPT. If you don't, that's fine. Take a photo of this, plug it into ChatGPT, and ask it those questions and see what it gives back. Now we're going to do another partner activity. And if you guys don't have ChatGPT, you're going to just have to make one up of your superhero. Once you do that, I'd like you to ask and find your neighbor and talk about what you think is most interesting from that. Does everybody have ChatGPT or some sort of AI? and I'm going to ask somebody to share theirs. Let's hear yours.
Hello. All right, cool.
Yes.
Mo, you got it? I'll do the first one. What gives me energy versus what drains me. Deep conversation, solving tough problems, teaching complex ideas in a simple way, watching someone get it. What drains me, shallow talk, repetitive, busy work, fake networking with no real intent.
Love it. Love it. So burnout is something that is often talked about. We're burnt out all the time. We're exhausted. But what is burnout? Let me ask this question. Why can you wake up at 3 a.m. to head to the Bahamas, but waking up at 7:30 a.m. on a Monday to go to work feels infinitely more difficult? We want to say we are burnt out. Being burnt out is not a physical. It is not a reflection of how you physically feel, although it does go through the body. It is mental. You are doing something that is out of alignment. Your body's way of recognizing that is feeling exhausted. We have the tools within ourselves to realize if we are going the wrong route and going the wrong direction in life. I also wanted to make sure I gave a shout out to some people here and their superheroes and their superpowers. Where's Jose Pena? Is he in here? You're right in front, man. So I pulled these from ChatGPT. He applies data-driven precision to BRRRRs, Airbnbs, and turning numbers into cash-flowing doors. Do you agree with that? Yeah. Love it. Owen Dashner, it's a very special photo. I had to dig for that one. I think you were looking at me, too. Co-host of the REIA Radio, founder of Red Ladder, and I think this last part, he's mastered turning conversations into closings. That is his superpower. Sit him in front of a computer to respond to emails all day, he is gonna fail. Clint, where's Clint at? Oh man, stud. Electrician turned investor, his superpower is seeing potential in hoarder houses and pre-foreclosures that others run from. That is a superpower. Think about how many people would go into a property that is dilapidated, falling apart, and say, oh my gosh, this thing's crap. That's arbitrary. What Clint asks, and this is my assumption, is what is the cost of the building? What does it cost to rehab? And I have the tools to put that together to build a business and a lifestyle. It is a way of reframing things. Getting into the right rooms. I've got you up there even more, Owen. It's pretty cool to think, 9 years ago, 8 years ago, 8.5, almost 9 years ago, I started listening to Bigger Pockets and setting an intention to not only be on the Bigger Pockets podcast, but to become confidant friend with Brandon Turner. How do you do that? I'm gonna walk you through those steps, leveraging meetups, masterminds, but how do you do that? How do you get into these rooms? Well, the first option, this is what I did, is I decided to create my own space. So Owen has just started a meetup, Caffeine and Cap Rates, Thursdays at Sozo Coffee House. It's on 13th and Jones Street. Now, if your intent is to go form a group to make a lot of cash, that's fine. But what you're gonna find is the surface level conversations that you're looking to avoid. What I wanted to do, and this was early on when I was at my W-2, was find individuals that were not like the people at my W-2. People who had goals, who had ambitions. So I had to be crystal clear about what the group's purpose was. The group, no ego, collaboration to buy, build, do real estate together. Curate, don't just collect. It's real easy to get excited about numbers. All right, we got 500 people showing up. Must be great. You ever see those people with 500,000 Instagram followers and 2 likes? Is that cool? No. Everybody knows that's bullshit. Consistency builds credibility. Your first event, the first time you do something, maybe somebody shows up, maybe they don't. If you create the right product, the right scenario, people will come. So what's really cool about that is, at the time, the Omaha REIA. This is before Ted took over. And Ted, everybody give it up for Ted. This is freaking awesome. Guys, if you don't know the type of care, love, and attention this guy has for this investor community, it is sincerely all with Ted. So Ted, thank you. Thank you, brother. You have been one of the biggest proponents. You have fought for real estate investors and to keep this community going. So genuinely, thank you. But it doesn't have to be this big, this complicated if you're looking to start your own group. So I'll just walk you through how I set up mine. Very simply, it was a Facebook post. I said, hey guys, I'm somewhat new to real estate. I have a fourplex, no clue, and a six-pack. Who wants to meet me Wednesday night at 7 o'clock? Dead serious. I was combining all my favorite activities. Surprisingly, about 14 people showed up that night. So I proved the model. Guess what it cost me? It cost me a few hours of time and a six-pack. 6 months later, we had 80 investors. Year and a half later, right before COVID, we were getting 200 people in attendance. If you create something that is genuine, has authenticity, and whose sole purpose is to serve others, people are going to be interested. And we need to think about this. So Chris did a great job talking about negotiation, getting seller carries, identifying pain points on what other people are looking for, and you being the problem solver creates not only authority, but it's going to create synergy. This is something else that's important, and I wanted to add this slide in there as just something that I think we all, especially early on, we feel that authority is given to the person speaking. They must know the most. How many times have you been in a conversation with somebody talking out their ass about things they don't know, and their reputation goes straight downhill? Yes. What I have found, the times to speak, when info is lacking and you're most informed. These are ways to increase your credibility. When incorrect information needs correction. So I'm going to give Owen credit for this, cognitive dissonance versus authenticity. There are many times that you'll experience this where people want something from you, but they won't package it like that. They won't come out and say that, but they'll start having a conversation with you, and you'll realize that the conversation that they're talking about is very surface level, and what their intent is to either extract information or sell something from you. What does that do to everybody here when somebody is trying to do that to you? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Turns you off immediately. Speaking at the right time builds authority and authenticity. Tuition of success is paid in either money, time, or mistakes. Chris had mentioned earlier about wishing he got a mentor, joined a mastermind earlier. I could say the exact same thing. There are numerous mistakes that people have made that are willing to give you that information, but you will never know it existed unless you're willing to trade either your time helping them, going to work for them, or paying money to get into the room with them. That money then converts to saving you time and costly mistakes. I'm trying to think, at one of the last masterminds, this was a long time ago, I had an issue with a property, troubled tenant, was gonna have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars rehabbing, doing numerous other things to the property. Well, a person in my networking group gave me a very simple tactic, which I didn't know at the time, which is very commonplace. This was a long time ago. Actually, this is the story. So I had a 87 unit, Chris and I do, and the water kept running out in the building, the hot water. Couldn't figure it out, no hot water. All of a sudden, we start receiving some phone calls from one of the bottom units. This might have been two of them. And they started getting a little mildew, a slight leak. Okay, we'd go check on it. It'd stop, go back, check on it. Well, we ended up finding out that a disgruntled schizophrenic resident was running the hot water constantly on one of our 30-unit buildings. When I say constantly, 100% of the time, the building had no hot water, and this kept continuing. Nebraska law states you have to provide a 7-day notice, then you have to go to eviction court. You can't just remove the guy. He's got a right to be there. It seems ridiculous that he's causing issues to everybody else, but this guy's got a vendetta for some reason or the other. I was sitting there describing this issue, I think this was at Vistage, which is a business mastermind. And one of them had heard about this in one of their real estate books, which I had forgotten. Well, why don't you just give that guy cash for keys? Oh, shit. You mean I can get him out today? Sure enough, $425. 10 minutes later, the guy was out of there. He did forget his cat, which we had to chase him down and say, we don't want your cat. Probably should have kept the cat. I feel kind of bad now, honestly. That is just one example. We would have had to live with this situation for probably 30 more days, go to court, get him out, have everybody in the building disgruntled. That was just one piece of knowledge that I got from being in a mastermind. Right. For those of you looking to get into the right room, maybe you have somebody that you admire, somebody that's doing what you want to be doing in business. This common mistake occurs. How can I help you? We'll get this question. I'm sure Owen gets this question. I want to tag along for you and I'll do whatever you need. Okay. What is whatever? Do you want to do my laundry? Sounds nice. It's vague. And what it does is it puts a job onto the other individual. At best, you're going to get a response back saying, I really don't know, or send me your resume. At worst, they're just not going to respond because you're creating another job for an already successful, busy person. And I'll show you guys how to use this in practicality and how I've actually used it. Do your homework on the individual. Understand their pain points. Understand what they are looking for in their business and what they may need. Say you want to learn what a house flipper does. Follow them around. Hey, I'm going to follow you around all day. Shit, now I got to have this guy in a car with me. Instead, think about the skill set that you can offer. Maybe you're good at Facebook marketing. That is a valuable skill that'll allow you to sit down with that person. Can I pick your brain? Can I pick your brain? This is Owen's absolute favorite. Good. Everybody after this, please go ask Owen if you can pick his brain. Once again, this is incredibly open-ended. It's typically asking for surface level knowledge that can be received from a book or online resources, guys. And it's honestly somewhat disrespectful asking somebody to take time out of their day to recite a textbook to you. Here's a better way. In your experience, I'm exploring a specific situation. What you are doing there is validating the person's expertise. So maybe they are Owen, maybe they've flipped 600 properties. What do you see as the biggest issue of flipping? I have this house here, it's $350,000. What do you see as the biggest issue of this, and what are some recommendations that you would give me? Be specific, be concise, and allow them an avenue to give you a thoughtful answer. Because if you're just asking, can I pick your brain, that means you have not done your research and that you have not paid attention to the individual. All right, then there's the fangirl, fanboy mode. You come up, just sit around, just start giving compliments to the person. That's cool. I'm sure celebrities like it. But what it also does is creates immediate distance between you as the fangirl or fanboy and the person you're trying to get closest to. They are always going to have their guard up. They're always going to assume that you want something from them rather than actually collaborating with them. If your goal is to have a seat at the table, you should act like you have a seat at the table. Ooh, can we get coffee? Maybe they don't like coffee. I don't like coffee. I don't drink coffee. I am naturally caffeinated. I am caffeinated on life. Once again, you're just taking their time away. What do they like to do? Respect their path. Understand what they like to do. Tag along with them. See what you can do to provide benefit. For me, as I've told many people that want to hang out, get my time, perfect. We're going to go to the gym. We're going to go on a ruck. We're going to go on a hike. That is my downtime and my extra time that I have. I make it pretty apparent that I like to exercise and spend time with my kids. If you can combine one of those, can make time. All right, this is an application of those items and how not only I got into a 20K mastermind for $0, I ended up getting paid for being part of that mastermind. So this is straight out of Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week. He had kind of hacked the code of how do you get in front of important people, have them listen to you, and then create further downstream conversations. So there's a coaching program out there called Wheelbarrow Profits. Where's Wyatt at? Yep. Wyatt, you're a coach for them, correct? Yep. Wyatt is a coach for them. I used to be a coach for them, coaching on multifamily. And I said, you know what? I'm going to head out to their conference. Me and Chris were heading out there. I said, hell, I'm going to give it a try. Went on to Bigger Pockets. I sent the head guy, Gino, a message. Hey, man, I signed up for your event, showing that I'm already committed. I'm not asking for anything free. I'm going to be there. I really love what you guys are doing, and I also know that this conference, this large-scale conference, is a new thing for you. So I know that there's probably going to be some holes that you need to fill. You're probably utilizing your internal team. Just to let you know, I'm going to be there anyways. I have these 3 things that I can offer you if you'd like. No big deal if not, but regardless, I'll be there. Put me to work. I said, 1, I can MC events. I've emceed events for 1,000 people before. That was a high-level ask. I was asking that as like a reach goal. That would have given me a lot of authority. It was a long shot, but it showed that I had experience. 2, I said, I can be one of your door greeters. I do have experience in multifamily. I know the business that you do. I'd be happy to conduct and help create the environment for you. 3, the low-level item, which I 100% knew that would be a necessity, whether they would need me or not, I didn't know, was I will set up tables and chairs and pick up trash. I have had people ask to shadow me before, and I say, perfect. I have an apartment that needs a clean out if you're looking for the business. Oh, wait, no. I wanna underwrite deals and do big deals. Cool, me too. I need this apartment cleaned out, and it's either gonna be me or somebody I hire. There is no job too menial, especially if you wanna get into the good graces with somebody. It also shows humility. So what ended up happening with that, I got a response back, wow, you're great. Turns out it was his assistant. Actually didn't get through to Gino. And he says, we're good on all these, but I'm gonna give you half off your ticket. That email or that message on Bigger Pockets took me 15 minutes to do, and I saved $600. Go to the event, they recognize me and the message I sent. Sit down, Chris and I sat down with Jake and Gino for about an hour. At the end of the conference, I'm thinking about signing up for their program. It's $20,000. I'm like, fuck, it's a lot of money, but everybody's doing it. I don't know, maybe I'll do it. So I start going over there, and Josh Ruzin's one of the head of the communities there. Start a conversation with him, just talking about the conference itself. And he says, hey man, I really like your energy and experience. How about you come coach with us? Wait, what? You want to give me access to the $20,000 program and pay me $100 an hour to be a coach? Pretty cool, right? Pretty freaking cool. You always wonder how people get up on stage. It's by making bold moves like that and acting like you belong on the stage. This $100 bill, it's available to anyone in this room if you want to come and get it. That's all right, guys. So I saw this before, so I did steal this trick. A guy had held up like an ounce of gold, and we're all sitting there like, is he serious? He wants us to take his gold? I'm sorry, your name? Janelle. Janelle. Give Janelle a big round of applause. Janelle takes action, and I love it. Guys, this business, you will never know all the details. You will never be 100% ready. But internally, from the pre-work you've done, from educating yourself, when a deal is a deal. Janelle recognized that a man holding $100 saying, take the $100 is a good deal. Janelle, great job. There are so many times where we wait around and we're waiting for perfection. Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank has a rule. Once you have 70% of the information that you know that is possible to have, you have enough information to make a decision. In real estate, we have due diligence periods to flush those things out. There are many times where we would be competing with sellers, but we have come in fast, prepared, with 70% of the information. We don't know how all the units look. We don't know, especially if we're buying out of state, what the previous property management's done. We don't know about all the leaks, but what we do know is the price, the rents they're achieving, and the rents for the area, and our operational capabilities. That is enough information to move forward. Speed over perfection, guys. Fast yes or no. If you're sitting in maybe land, you are just wasting precious mental space. You're just wantifying it. Oh, I want to do it. Oh, have you met that person? Oh, I think I'm gonna put an offer in on that property. Cool, do it, or don't. That's what I tell my kids all the time. You're either gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. But make a freaking decision. Otherwise, you're gonna sit in this endless loop of not doing anything. Default to action. This one you have to be careful with, and sometimes maybe I default to too much to yes. If you are truly in this business, you believe in your capabilities, yes, and moving forward with action is always the right answer. There is fight, flight, and freeze. People that run the flight, they get none of the glory. Frozen, they get run over. The people that fight, you may get your head chopped off, but you may receive the glory. My opinion, life's too short to be running all the time. All right, what separates someone who wants to invest in real estate from someone who actually does it? So I call this real estate mental masturbation. We all do it, but doing too much of it, and you're just a masturbator. All right, guys. So what do we think separates us? What gets us there? Is it forming an LLC? Is it having our entity? You have an entity, cool. Now you're filing the paperwork. All right, here's my next favorite one. What is it? Let's hear an answer. What is something that separates? Who wants to? Who actually does it? What is the one thing? Is it a website? Is it setting up a website? What about business cards? I gotta get my business cards because I'm gonna hand those business cards out to not talk to that person, for them to throw my business card in the trash. Guys, I have never had a business card. Sorry if I got some for liquid lending. I never looked at them, or they may be in a box somewhere. Not opening them. Nobody cares about your business cards. Guys, we have social media, we have phone numbers, we have mouse. We can talk and communicate with the individual. And for those of you that got it right, buying real estate. I was hoping for that was like a little bassinet, but that's all it could give me is a shopping cart, just to stick with the theme. All right, guys. This is going to be a little bit material dense, so I'm going to try to break it down. But what this is going to do is going to allow you the ability to make an offer and to have your 70% of information, your ducks in a row, for when that property does hit the market. And I'd be happy, at the end, I have my contact info. I'd be happy to give you guys a template for this, or at least an example. I have a couple different iterations. I can go through my first one that I ever did with you. Build a credibility book. So a credibility book is like a resume, but it is actually more of a sales pitch. This is something that you are going to utilize even if you are a one-man or woman team, even if you have 0 deals underneath your belt. You have a vision, you know what you are looking to do, and you know what type of assets you are looking for. If you don't know those things, you need to figure those things out, because otherwise you're going to be wandering around trying to buy anything. You create a credibility book, usually includes a photo, some useful information, you put your education, and you put applicable skills in there. Also, adding a property that you could utilize as an example. This may be a property that's already sold. You can often go on Crexy.com, find old pro formas, decks. You can use that, you can showcase this so that when you are looking to purchase properties, you can provide this to the broker, you can provide this to the lender. You can provide this beforehand so you sit top of mind for any deals that come forth. Make sure you have your investment criteria on there as well. All right, this is all boring stuff, but is incredibly important. How many people here have a personal financial statement updated within the last 90 days? How many people here are trying to buy real estate in the next 90 days? Okay, cool. If there is a difference of hands there, you need to get your personal financial statement done. The lender, the person with the money, unless you have the cash and the trust fund, they are going to need that to see what you qualify for. Having these items ahead of time will give you the speed, the confidence to know that you can make an offer. So personal financial statement, and tax returns. Now, my old tax firm, which used to be my uncle, would hand me a box of tax returns. That's okay for him to pass on to me. It is incredibly low likelihood you're going to get respect of other individuals, especially bankers, by passing that off to them. Create a nice package, a Dropbox link that you can just share that info with. Make it as easy as possible. Bankers don't want to work. Sorry if there's bankers in here. There's a banker or two in here. Sorry, guys. I love you. I'll take your money. Make it as easy and seamless as possible, because you may get Mike, the banker, on the wrong day. You may have the strongest financial statement. You may have the best tax returns. But if you give him a bunch of work to do, he's going to go with me and Chris any day because of the ease for which he can view our file. And just so you guys know, personal financial statement is your net worth breakdown. That's where you'll put all your assets, your liabilities, credit cards, automobiles, houses, and basically your overall net worth and your liquidity on there, as well as your annual cash flow. It's also good for you just to have. This is what I did early on, and you can expand this as you grow. When I started, I had my W-2, young child, soon to be another, and I knew that I would burn out if I looked all over Omaha, Nebraska for properties. If I had to drive an hour to go lease a property, to let somebody in, this was going to get real old real quick, and if there was an emergency, I wanted to be able to service it. So I chose my zip codes. I said, all right, this is the path from my house to my work. Talked to a lender. They told me I could get up to $1 million worth of real estate. I don't think it was that much. It was like 400 or 500. Unit size. I knew I wanted multifamily. Why did I want multifamily? I wanted multifamily so if one side went vacant, that the other side would be paying my rent. Funny story with that bottom property. One side was vacant. I was about to head out of town on vacation, and the other side was just done, remodeled, and I was leaving in a day, doing a open house, and one person showed up, a young family with cash, with no credit history. Mistake, I took their money. Positive, I did not have to come out of pocket to pay the mortgage that month. So maybe put that in your criteria. Another thing I looked for, and guys, listsource.com, I'm guessing there's a bunch more of these, but you can pull lists of owners of multifamily, of properties that you're looking for. I was looking for absentee owners. Absentee owner means that they don't live at the property, means they use it as an investment property, means that they already have their house lined up and maybe they want to sell it, that they'd owned for over 3 years. That means that they had accumulated some equity so that they were going to make some money from this. If they had just purchased it 6 months ago, they probably either don't want to sell or are going to want to sell at a much higher than market rate. Know your top end budget. I see a lot of people, and this goes back to the lender conversation. You've done your credibility book, you have your personal financial statement and your tax returns. You want to start going and networking with lenders. I recommend 5 different lenders. I would choose a credit union. I would choose the bank where you keep your cash at. I would choose a large bank, and then some off of recommendations. Every lender has different criteria for properties they want. They go through hot and cold seasons. Sometimes they are too heavy on multifamily, on single family, on certain areas of town, on rehab loans. It is very beneficial to have all these relationships set ahead of time. Versus what can happen, you say, I'm going to buy real estate, a property comes on the market, looks like the perfect property. Well, all of a sudden showings are happening. You don't know if you can actually afford the property or if somebody's going to finance it. All right, this is where you want to be upfront with the individuals, especially contractors. It takes a lot to put a bid together. You don't want to bring in 6 different GCs at once. They don't like that. Where's Hal? Probably don't like that. Probably don't like that a lot. But, oh, you're unique, man. I know that. So one of the questions you'll get and you'll have as you're walking through these properties is like, oh man, how's this much going to cost? You know, I know the building's $300,000, but all these units are shit. What am I going to do here? If you can establish these numbers ahead of time, you can budget your worst case scenario and then build that into your pro forma. Rather than, as I said, doing all these things after the deal hits the market. Because when the deal hits the market, There's about half a dozen people, Jerry Schlickburn in this room, that's going to buy the property because she already knows her criteria and she knows what she wants to buy and she's ready to go and has the lenders on hand. Convenient, she has a construction company too, so she actually knows all the costs. But even early on, having these outlined, it gives you the ability to make faster decisions. Principles of partnerships. Chris had touched on this. Partnerships will make or break you, but they will absolutely be one of the biggest catalysts for you to have successful growth. One of the most important things is aligned vision. One person may want to work 10 hours a week, the other person may want to work 100 hours a week. Person A wants 75% of the profit. Person B, they also want 75% of the profit. Misalignment. One person wants to flip properties and be done in 2 years. One person wants to hold on to real estate, build a large organization of $1 billion worth of real estate, be on the board of it, and continue this to pass on to their kids. Understanding the vision is incredibly important. Complementary strengths. When Chris and I met, we were competing over properties nonstop. Ted actually thought I was an agent. Thank you, Ted. Let me sneak in there. And it started coming to a point where I gave him a call one day. I'm like, oh man, Chris, it's really cool. I got these 10 units I'm looking at. 10 units I'm looking at. It's like, me too. Surprise, this was about the 6th time we had ran into each other. Young children, big goals. All right, we've seen the aligned vision. He has an attorney background. I had an operations background, managing people, had just started a property management company. Both very driven, but complementary strengths. Radical transparency. Say the hard things early. Man, this is so true. Communication is literally the most important thing. The more you communicate, the better things will get. Complications come between your 2 ears. They come between thoughts that you are thinking that are not necessarily true. Communicate with each other. Tell each other what makes you uncomfortable. Tell each other your concerns. Tell each other what you are looking at doing and what you like and what bothers you about the assets. All right, this was going to be a deal overview that I was going to do. However, what I am going to focus on with this, just piggybacking off of the partnership structure. So this is 24 townhomes in Papillion. My good buddy Owen Dashner gives me a call. He was used to just buying $20,000 Carter Lake homes. He is the king of Council Bluffs, and he wears that crown proudly. But he wanted to venture out into Omaha, and the farthest he could go west was 72nd Street till his ankle bracelet went off. Sorry, dude. He calls me and says, I've got this property. I don't have $400,000, the desire to manage, and yeah, man, I think it's a good deal. And half the units are vacant, and it's a distressed seller, meaning it was a dentist or doctor and his wife doing the rehabs, still working a full-time job at 60 years old. So I'm like, all right, let's get creative about this. This will be fine. We'll figure it out. Call Chris. I'm like, Chris is part of it. Owen's like, dude, I was at 100%, 50%. Now I'm at 33%. I was like, it's fine, dude. Just shut up. Let me keep going here. Chris is like, okay, we need to find the money. So we call up another individual who is dead to us today, but he still owns it. I say that for you, Owen. In this deal, we had the deal finder, financing, Chris. Chris led up that piece, as well as it was our introduction to the money person, my acquaintance as well. I might have brought him, actually, as well as some creative financing. So on the surface, this deal is $1.7 million purchase price, $300,000 construction loan, so let's call it $2 million. Let's say 20% down, that's $400,000. We didn't have $400,000 or didn't want to use $400,000 and did not have a hard money lending company at the time. All right, so we got to get creative here. Let's go to Chris's point. Let's give these people 2 offers. All right, let's see what they take. $1.7 million and a $200,000 seller carry. They'll get paid back in a year or 2. They'll get 6% interest. I think interest rates were like 5 or 4.5% at the time. So they were actually beating the market. They were going to get some cash flow, and they weren't going to have to pay taxes on that. Or our other offer at $1.6 million, just straight cash, which we still didn't have, but we were hoping they took option A. Sure enough, they take option A. All right, we still need $200,000. Well, guess what? Another individual who wanted to be passive had access to $200,000 that we were able to borrow. Combine those together, we're able to close on the deal. Each individual had a role in that. My role was the property management company and operations that came with that property. Just quick, this is not necessarily part of the conversation, but I think it's interesting. We found this property. It was averaging rents of $695, currently $1,495. Once again, we purchased it 1.7, 2 million all in, currently valued at 3.7. We did refinance at 3.2 million about 9 months or 12 months later. It was more than a full cash out refi. Once again, these pieces wouldn't have came together if Owen would have sat on it. You might have wholesaled it, not quite sure what you would have done with it, sold his house and used all the equity and would still be remodeling the units himself. And the rents would still be $695 if Owen was managing it. I've got proof of that. All right, guys, I always like to end with this quote, and it's the reason we're here. The cowards never started. The weak died along the way. That leaves us. This is a book by Phil Knight, Shoe Dog. It's something he recited when he would battle tough times. It would be the constant reminder to himself that very few are doing what we are doing here. Entrepreneurship is hard. Real estate is hard. Most people never start this. The other people, to Jerry's point, which I hope isn't true, 80% of the individuals die along the way. It's going to get too tough. It gets tough. It gets real tough. Bad things happen. The economy shifts. It's not just like things slow down. Things hit reverse. And I hope next time we do it, that leaves us. All right, questions?
All right, we got a question in the back over here.
When doing a seller carry and giving the offer, do you ever go over ask price, and do you worry about it affecting appraisals? I think so. There's a difference between price and value. So the price may be $100,000, but the value's $200,000. If the value's $200,000, sure, I may go over asking. If I think we're conflicting there and the numbers don't make sense, then it doesn't make sense to go over, unless the new debt terms that you're getting on that seller carry allow you for a margin for an interest rate spread. So if interest rates are 8%, but you're doing a seller carry at 3%, and you're getting a portion of that, now your overall DSCR constraints or yield on debt is going to be minimized, so you can actually go up in price. Yep, and make it more competitive.
All right, one of your
We're going to get you your own microphone.
I should have sat there. That's my mistake. But my question was, on one of your slides, it says, what's one hard thing you've been avoiding? Does that question still apply to you? It's
a good thought-provoking question for everyone, because the reason why I put that on there, I think, is the opportunity in which that provides us. The reason I started doing property management is when I first got into real estate, I quickly realized that the difference of the success of a property was based on who was managing it, and nobody wanted to do it, and everybody hated their property manager regardless. So what that meant for me was there's an opportunity in the market. I am stupid and stubborn and had operational experience, so it gave me an opportunity to be like, okay, this is going to be my baby. And if times got hard, operations/property management would always be there as like a back end, as an income source. So I looked at it through all those lenses, plus myself getting out of corporate America and wanting to take control of my assets, of my wealth. So yeah, I looked at the hard things. So maybe you can ask yourself that. You can look at what the market is saying. What are the hard things people are trying to avoid?
Thanks.
Let's give it up for Collin Schwartz.
Thank you.